Good morning.
Good morning.
This is my first time using it. Should I be on a multi-screen or just the one with me and you on it?
I'm not sure. This is my first time too.
Well, I don't feel so bad then.
This is not the right case, is it, Christina?
The case I'm on should be for Connie Patton, the Heirship case.
No, this is not me. Sorry.
Okay, I apologize.
Teresa, just hold on. We're waiting for the judge to start everything.
Okay. Okay.
Good morning, sorry. Good morning, probate court number 2 is now in session. Honorable Pamela Medina presiding.
Good morning, everyone. I call cause number 503-582 on Ezequiel Escatel.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Oh, I think I have the wrong case.
Okay, Mr. Patton,
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
all in the same room and we're going to go case by case. So you're fine. Just hold on. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, are you ready to proceed? And Ms. Fatima Breland.
I am ready, Your Honor. I did request a translator in this hearing. I didn't know if that was still going to be.
Yes, we can. I'll just need to swear in the translator.
Okay.
Is that Ms. Ravana? No. Okay, I don't think the translator is here for that case. Hold on one second. Oh, I think she's coming now. Maria. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm the translator for the Escatel matter. Are you on? And I just need to swear you in.
Yes, Your Honor, I am on and I'm ready for the court.
Okay. And just raise your right hand. And
Give me 1 second.
okay.
I am ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the interpretation you will give in this case will be from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
As I raise my right hand, I, Maria de Villiers, with state master license number 816, do swear.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, I would need to also swear in your witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor. I have my client here, Ms. Juana Garcia Alba, and 2 witnesses, Marisol Pena and Mr. Fernando Pacheco. Though you can't see the 2 of them in the screen, they are here, but they're here to swear in. They're ready.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind having them maybe stand right behind you so that I could just see their hand raised.
Abogada Washington, le voy a solicitar que ambos testigos, así como la señora Juana García, se pongan frente a la cámara donde yo los pueda ver, la juez. Sentados, por favor.
And just have them raise their hand. I can't see the gentleman.
Al caballero no puedo verlo. Por favor, señor, párese si es tan amable o acérquese más a la señorita abogada para que yo, el juez, la pueda ver. Lo pueda ver.
Okay,
Gracias.
And please raise your right hand.
Por favor, levanten su mano derecha.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Cada uno de ustedes jura solemnemente que el testimonio que van a rendir en esta causa será la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad. Señora Juana García, ¿lo jura?
Sí.
I do by Mrs. García. Señorita Marisol Peña, ¿lo jura?
Sí, lo juro.
I do by Miss Peña. Señor Fernando Pacheco, ¿lo jura?
Sí.
I do by Mr. Pacheco.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, you may proceed.
Gracias.
Okay, Your
Abogada
Honor.
Washington, puede usted proceder.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Your Honor. We're going to get rearranged here and I'll start.
Gracias,
Thank you.
señoría. Nos vamos a acomodar aquí en diferentes sillas y en un momento empezamos.
Okay. Your Honor, if the court would allow it, I would actually like to start with the applicant, Juana Garcia Alba.
Si su señoría me lo permite, quisiera iniciar el testimonio de la solicitante, la señora Juana García.
Let's go ahead and start with the Heirship first.
Okay, I was gonna try to lay the foundation for, because we have an equitable adoption issue in this case, but I can start with the witnesses.
Okay,
Quisiera que
thank you.
empezáramos mejor con los testigos. Bueno, yo quisiera establecer que existe cierta adopción por equidad, pero si usted insiste, con gusto, empezamos con los testigos.
Okay, I'll call Marisol Peña.
Bien, llamo a Marisol Peña a testificar.
Ms. Peña, would you please state your full name for the court?
By the interpreter. The interpreter is unable to see Marisol Peña, Your Honor. Is there anything the court could do to help this, to assist the interpreter?
You need to see Ms. Peña.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Peña.
Thank you. Muchas gracias, señorita Peña. ¿Será tan amable de darnos su nombre completo para que conste en actas?
Marisol Peña.
Marisol Peña.
Okay, thank you. And what was your relationship to Ezequiel Escatel?
Ok, gracias. ¿Cuál era su relación o parentesco con el finado Ezequiel Escatel?
Amistad. Amistad.
Friendship.
Okay, thank you. And how long did you know him, Ms. Peña?
¿Y por cuánto tiempo conoció usted al finado?
Desde el año 2003.
Since the year 2003.
Okay. And is it true that Mr. Escatel passed away on July 20th, 2018 at the age of 54?
Y es cierto que el señor Escatel falleció en julio 20 del 2018 a la edad de 54 años.
No.
I'm
No.
sorry, January 24th, 2021. I apologize, at the age of 54.
Disculpe, yo la abogada me confundí de fecha. Le pregunto de nuevo, ¿es cierto que el finado falleció en enero 24 del 2021 a la edad de 54 años?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And were you familiar with his family and marital history?
¿Y usted estaba familiarizada, conocía a la familia de él y al estado civil que tenía el señor finado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Peña, to the best of your knowledge, was Mr. Escatel married to the applicant Juana Garcia Alba at his time of passing?
Y a su mejor saber y entender, señorita Peña, por lo que usted entiende, cuando el señor Escatel fallece, él se encontraba casado con la solicitante en esta causa, la señora Marisol Peña.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And to the best of your knowledge, did Mr. Escatel have 4 children in total?
Y a su mejor saber y entender, el señor Escatel, el finado, tuvo 4 hijos.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And are those children Flor, Yesenia, Miriam, and Ricardo?
Y estos hijos fueron Flor, Yesenia, Miriam y Ricardo.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And Flor and Yesenia were Mr. Escatel's biological children, is that correct?
Y tanto Flor como Yesenia fueron las hijas biológicas del señor Escatel. ¿Esto es cierto?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
Thank you. And would you agree that Mr. Escatel raised Miriam and Ricardo as his own as well?
Y usted estará de acuerdo conmigo que el señor Escatel crió a Miriam y a Ricardo como si fuesen hijos propios.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Escatel take Miriam and Ricardo into their home, his home, and treat Miriam and Ricardo as his own children?
Y el señor Escatel llevó a su hogar a Miriam y a Ricardo, los trató a ellos y los crió como si fuesen sus hijos propios.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And did Mr. Escatel also hold out or tell others that that Miriam and Ricardo had a father-child relationship with him?
Y el señor Escatel le decía a otros o presentaba a Miriam y a Ricardo como hijos de él con una relación de padre a hijos.
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you. And did Mr. Escatel ever inform you that he wrote out a last will and testament?
Y el señor Escatel en algún momento le platicó a usted o le avisó que él había elaborado, había preparado un testamento?
No,
No.
And Ms. Peña, was this something that he would have shared with you?
Sí, señorita Peña, esto acerca del testamento, ¿sería algo que él hubiera compartido con usted?
no,
No.
Sorry. And just for the record, Ms. Peña, you have not been promised anything in exchange for your testimony today, correct?
Nada más para que conste en acta, señorita Peña, nadie le ha ofrecido a usted darle o regalarle algo a cambio de que usted testifique aquí en esta causa el día de hoy. ¿Esto que digo
No.
es correcto?
correcto, no.
It's correct. No one has.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Peña. That's all I have for this witness, Your Honor. I'll pass at this time.
Bien, señorita Peña, le agradezco mucho por su testimonio. Su señoría, esas son todas las preguntas que tengo para esta mi primera testigo.
Ms. Breland?
Yes, Your Honor, good morning, and I apologize that I was having little difficulties. I couldn't hear, so I apologize for my delayed appearance on the screen.
Abogada, abogada Breland, sea tan amable de continuar si es que tiene alguna pregunta. Gracias, su señoría. En primer lugar, quiero disculparme por llegar a esta audiencia un poquito tarde.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
¿Puedo
Thank you, Ms.
proceder, su señoría? Sí.
Ms. Peña, my name is Fatima Breland, and regarding the children, I am the attorney ad litem appointed by the court. And regarding the children, you mentioned that the decedent had 4 children.
Señorita Peña, muy buenos días. Yo soy la abogada Fátima Breland. Soy la abogada judicial asignada para representar a los menores de edad. Por lo que usted entiende, señorita Peña, el señor finado, el señor Escatel, ¿tuvo 4 hijos?
Sí,
Yes.
And you indicated that the names are Flor, Yesenia, Miriam, and Ricardo, correct?
Y usted indicó que los nombres de estos 4 hijos son Flor, Yesenia, Miriam y Ricardo, ¿correcto?
correcto.
It's correct.
Now, you also differentiated between biological and non-biological.
Y durante su testimonio anterior, usted también diferenció, hizo una diferencia entre los hijos biológicos y los que no eran biológicos.
How did you know that some were biological children and some were not?
¿Y cómo es que usted se enteró que algunos de los 4 hijos eran biológicos y otros no lo eran?
Por la amistad, la plática entre amistad.
Well, it was through our friendship, through the conversations throughout our friendship.
Okay, and is that something that he mentioned to you, that 2 of them were not his biological children?
Y esto fue algo que el señor finado le mencionó a usted, que 2 de sus 4 hijos no eran sus hijos biológicos.
No, él no me lo mencionó.
No, he did not mention that to me.
So according to, when you say through conversations and through friendship, what do you mean?
Entonces, cuando usted me dijo anteriormente que usted se enteró de ello a través de la amistad y de las pláticas con él, ¿qué quiso decir con eso?
La plática entre ella y yo, la señora y yo.
It was between the conversations. It was in the conversations between her and I mean, the Mrs. and I.
Okay, so based on your knowledge and your conversations with the decedent, the 4 children that you mentioned today, he accepted them and treated them as his own children. Is that true?
Entonces, basándose en su conocimiento personal y en las conversaciones que usted tuvo, el finado, en relación a sus 4 hijos, él los aceptó a él y los trató a ellos como sus hijos propios?
Sí.
Yes.
And the relationship that you observed was equally the decedent treating the children as his own and the children treating the decedent as their father.
Y la relación que usted observó entre los 4 hijos y el señor finado fue una relación igual de hijos a padre entre ellos?
Sí, sí.
Yes, yes.
And in regards to representation of the decedent with regards to the children, representation to the community. Did the decedent register the children in school as if the children were his own children?
Y en relación a la manera como él presentaba a sus 4 hijos, biológicos y no biológicos, digamos, por ejemplo, en la escuela, cuando los inscribía a todos ellos como sus propios hijos.
Sí,
Yes.
And he was recognized by the school as the father of the 4 children.
Y la escuela lo reconocía a él, el señor finado, como el padre de los 4 hijos.
sí.
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, there is, do you know the whereabouts of the biological father of the 2 children?
Y a su mejor sabría entender, señorita, usted conoce el paradero, en dónde se encuentra el padre biológico de estos 2 hijos que no son los hijos biológicos del finado.
No,
No.
So to the best of your knowledge, for the length of time and for the time that you knew the decedent, he saw the 4 children as his own, treated them as such.
Entonces, de acuerdo a su conocimiento y durante el tiempo que usted tuvo la amistad con el finado, el señor Escatel, él siempre presentó a sus 4 hijos como hijos propios y tuvo una relación de padre e hijos entre ellos.
sí.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
Muchas gracias. Ya no tengo más preguntas.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Okay,
Oh,
thank
well.
you, Judge. I'm going to tilt the camera towards Mr. Pacheco
Thank you.
really quickly. And can you see him as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Abogada Washington, sí, su señoría, estoy lista para mi siguiente testigo y voy a cambiar la cámara para que apunte directamente a mi siguiente testigo. ¿Lo puede usted ver, señora juez? Sí, sí lo puedo ver. Muy bien.
okay, thank you. Mr. Pacheco, could you please state your full name for the court?
Señor Pacheco, sería tan amable de darnos su nombre completo para que conste en actas.
Fernando Pacheco.
Fernando Pacheco.
Okay, and what was your relationship to the decedent, Ezequiel Escatel?
¿Y cuál era su relación o parentesco con el señor finado Ezequiel Escatel?
Una amistad.
A friendship.
Okay, and how long did you know Mr. Escatel?
¿Y por cuánto tiempo conoció usted al señor Escatel?
Por 18 años.
For 18 years.
Okay, and is it true that Mr. Escatel passed away on January 24th, 2021 at the age of 54?
Y es cierto que el señor Escatel falleció en enero 24 del 2021 a la edad de 54 años.
Sí, señorita.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
sorry. And you were familiar with his family and marital history as well, correct?
Y usted conocía a la familia del finado, así como también su estado civil, ¿correcto?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, was Mr. Escatel married to the applicant Juana Garcia Alba at the time of his passing?
Y a su mejor saber y entender, señor, el finado, el señor Escatel, al momento que fallece, se encontraba casado con la solicitante en esta causa legal, de nombre Juana García Alba.
Sí,
Yes.
Okay, and to the best of your knowledge, did Mr. Escatel have 4 children?
Y a su mejor saber, ¿el señor Escatel tuvo 4 hijos?
sí,
Yes.
Okay, and are those 4 children Flor, Yesenia, Miriam, and Ricardo?
Y estos 4 hijos llevan el nombre de Flor, Yesenia, Miriam y Ricardo?
sí,
Yes.
Okay, and is it your testimony that Mr. Escatel raised Miriam and Ricardo as his own?
Y por lo que usted sabe y conoce, el señor Escatel, el finado, crió a Miriam y a Ricardo como si fuesen sus hijos propios?
correcto, sí.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and that Flor and Yesenia are his biological children, is that correct?
Y Flor y Yesenia son hijos biológicos del finado. ¿Esto que digo es correcto?
Sí,
Yes.
Okay, did Mr. Escatel take Miriam and Ricardo into his home? And, sorry, did Mr. Escatel take Miriam and Ricardo into his home and raise them? in the same
sí.
home with Flor and Yesenia.
El señor Escatel, el finado, llevó a su hogar a Miriam y a Ricardo y los crió de igual manera como él crió a Flor y a Yesenia.
Sí,
Yes.
Okay, and did he tell friends or hold out to others that Miriam and Ricardo had a father-child relationship with him?
Y él presentó a estos dos hijos que no eran biológicos como suyos propios y los trató como suyos propios, presentándolos a otros como dos hijos que tenían una relación de padre e hijo con él.
sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay, and did Mr. Escatel ever mention to you that he wrote out a last will and testament?
Y le pregunto otra cosa. ¿El señor Escatel en algún momento le informó a usted o le platicó que él había elaborado, que tenía un testamento?
No, no.
No, no.
Okay, would this have been something that you all would have talked about?
¿Y esto sobre el testamento sería algo que usted y el señor Escatel hubieran platicado de ello?
No,
No.
Okay. And you are not, you've not been promised anything in exchange for your testimony today, correct?
Ahora bien, a cambio de su testimonio el día de hoy, a usted no se le ha prometido que se le va a dar o a regalar algo. ¿Esto que digo es correcto?
correcto.
Okay,
It's correct.
okay, that's all the questions that I have for Mr. Pacheco. I would pass the witness at this time.
Bien, esas son todas las preguntas que tengo para el señor Pacheco. Cedo al testigo en este momento.
Thank you. Ms. Breland?
Yes,
Abogada
Your Honor.
Breland.
Mr. Pacheco, with regards to the children, so for as long as you knew the decedent, he treated Miriam and Ricardo as his own children?
En relación a los hijos, durante el tiempo que usted trató y tuvo la amistad con el señor finado, el señor Escatel crió y trató a sus dos hijos, Miriam y Ricardo, como si fuesen hijos propios?
Sí,
Yes.
There was no difference between the treatment between them and Flor and Yesenia?
May I have a repetition, Counselor?
Yes, I apologize. There was no difference in the way that he treated Miriam and Ricardo from the way that he treated Flor and Yesenia?
¿Hubo alguna diferencia en cuanto a cómo trataba el señor Escatel a Miriam y Ricardo comparado como cómo trataba él a Flor y a Yesenia? ¿Hubo alguna
No, nunca.
diferencia?
No, nunca hubo una diferencia. Siempre
No.
trató como sus hijos.
No, there was never any difference. He always treated them as his own children.
And other than Miriam and Ricardo, did the decedent raise any other children as his own?
Y además de Miriam y Ricardo, el señor finado crió a otros hijos o hijas que no fuesen biológicos, pero como suyos propios?
No le entiendo bien la pregunta.
I am not quite understanding the question.
¿Me puede explicar bien, por favor?
May I please have a repetition?
Yes. So it is your testimony today that he raised Miriam and Ricardo as if they were children of the decedent. And
Entonces, es su testimonio el día de hoy que el señor finado crió a Miriam y a Ricardo como si fuesen hijos propios de él.
Sí,
Yes.
so the other part of the question is, were there any other children whom the decedent treated as his own, other than the four that we have mentioned, and other
Y-
than Miriam and Ricardo? I apologize.
Ahora viene la segunda parte de mi pregunta que le hice anteriormente. Que usted sepa, ¿hubieron algunos otros hijos que el señor finado hubiera traído al hogar y que los hubiera criado como hijos propios, además de Miriam y Ricardo?
no,
No,
no.
no, never, no.
Did you see the decedent frequently? Did you visit him frequently?
¿Usted veía al finado con frecuencia? ¿Usted lo visitaba a menudo?
Siempre que había una reunión y siempre que me invitaba a la casa, sí, siempre.
Or whenever there was a gathering or whenever he would invite me to come to his home, I did. Yes, yes.
And how often was that?
¿Y con qué frecuencia o cada cuándo se llevaba a cabo una reunión o él lo invitaba?
Cumpleaños de él, cumpleaños de sus hijos,
On his
cumpleaños de mi
birthday,
hijo, cumpleaños de los nietos.
on his birthday, on
Yeah.
his wife's birthday, the
Always,
children's birthdays,
siempre.
my children birthday, the grandchildren birthdays, always. He always did.
And during those gatherings, you never saw anyone else as his children other than the children that you are mentioning here?
Y durante esas reuniones de las que usted habla, ¿usted nunca vio algunos otros hijos que fuesen creados por él y que él considerara suyos, además de Miriam y Ricardo?
No, nunca vi a otra persona. No.
No, I never saw any other person.
And you also had personal knowledge in the way that he acknowledged the 4 children as his own children.
Y usted también pudo presenciar personalmente que él presentaba a otros, a sus 4 hijos, como hijos propios de él.
Sí, una familia muy unida eran ellos, los 4.
Yes, and all of them were a very close family. All 4 of them, the 4 children were.
And the children also seeing him as and recognizing him as their father.
Y los hijos también veían al Señor finado y lo reconocían como el padre de ellos.
Sí.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pacheco. I don't have any other questions.
Muchas gracias, señor Pacheco. Ya no tengo más preguntas para usted.
Ok, de nada, gracias.
Okay, and you are welcome. Thank you.
Ms. Washington, did you also want to have Ms. Alba give testimony regarding the heirship and the adoption?
Yes, I'll go quickly, Your Honor.
No need to rush. I just wanted to make sure that that's what you were intending. So you may proceed.
Yes,
May-
yes, Your
may-
Honor. She's
May
here.
the interpreter address the court very quickly, Your Honor? May the interpreter address the court?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm scheduled to be as an interpreter for this case up until 9:30. I can gladly extend the time to 9:45, but at that time I do have another commitment with another court, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you for letting us know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the camera should be adjusting to her. And okay,
Bien, ya he ajustado la cámara dirigida hacia la solicitante, la señora Juana García Alba.
Ms. Garcia Alba, would you please state your name for the court?
Señora García Alba, ¿será tan amable de darnos su nombre completo para que conste en actas?
Juana García Alba.
Juana García Alba.
And what was your relationship to Ezequiel Esquivel?
¿Y cuál era su parentesco con el señor Ezequiel Escatel?
Esposa.
His spouse.
Okay. And is it true that he passed away on January 24th, 2021 at the age of 54?
Y es cierto que él falleció, su esposo, en enero 24 del 2021 a la edad de 54 años.
Sí.
Yes.
And he passed away in Harris County, correct?
Y él falleció aquí en el condado de Harris, ¿correcto?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. And your husband never wrote out a last will and testament, correct?
Y por lo que usted sepa, el finado nunca elaboró ninguna clase de testamento. ¿Esto que digo es correcto?
Correcto.
It's correct.
Okay. Did you look for a will?
¿Usted buscó un testamento que él pudiese haber elaborado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, he was married to you at his time of passing, correct?
Y por supuesto, el señor finado estaba casado con usted al momento que él fallece.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And I've explained the concept of common law marriage to you.
Y yo ya le expliqué a usted acerca de en qué consiste una unión libre que en inglés se conoce como common law. ¿No es así?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. What year did you meet your husband?
¿En qué año conoció usted a su esposo?
1993.
1993.
And what year did you and your husband begin living together?
¿Y en qué año fue en el cual usted y su esposo empezaron a vivir juntos?
94.
En 94.
Okay. And about what year did you and your husband agree to be married?
¿Y cómo en qué año fue cuando usted y su esposo estuvieron de acuerdo en casarse?
A julio 21.
¿Año? El año.
El año.
July 21st. Do you want the year?
94. Sorry.
94. Sorry.
Okay. And you both held out to others that you were married, correct?
Y ustedes dos se presentaban ante la sociedad y ante otros como una pareja matrimoniada, ¿correcto?
Correct.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. And you were formally married to your husband on July 20th, 2018, is that correct?
Y usted estuvo formalmente casada con su esposo en julio 20 del 2018, ¿correcto?
Correct.
It's correct.
Okay. But for the record, you considered each other as spouses well before 2018, is that correct?
Pero para que conste en actas, ustedes dos se consideraban como una pareja en matrimonio mucho antes del 2018, ¿no es así?
Sí. Correct.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. And you and your husband have 2 biological children, correct? Flor and Eugenia?
Y usted y su esposo tuvieron 2 hijos biológicos durante el matrimonio, Flor y Yesenia.
Sí, correct.
Yes, it's correct.
Okay. And you would also agree with the witness testimony that he equitably adopted Miriam and Ricardo, is that also correct?
Y usted también estará de acuerdo con el testimonio anterior de los 2 testigos, que él con toda equidad y decidió adoptar legalmente a los otros 2 hijos, Miriam y Ricardo.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. How old were Miriam and Ricardo when your husband began raising them?
¿Qué edad tenían Miriam y Ricardo cuando su esposo decide traerlos al hogar y criarlos?
De 6 y 7 años se hizo responsable.
May I clarify, Counselor?
Yes.
Dijo usted 16 o 6 y 7.
6 y 7.
They were 6 and 7 years of age.
Okay. And I know this is a little personal, Ms. Garcia Alba, but for the record, Miriam and Ricardo's biological father did not raise them. Is that correct?
Yo sé que esto es algo personal, pero quiero preguntárselo. El padre biológico de Miriam y Ricardo no fue quien los crió. ¿Es así?
Correct.
It's correct.
Okay. And your husband never received Medicaid. Is that correct?
Otra pregunta diferente. Su esposo nunca recibió beneficios de Medicaid. ¿Esto que digo es correcto?
Correct.
It's correct.
Okay. Ms. Garcia Alba, do you need to be appointed administrator over your husband's estate?
Señora García Alba, usted tiene la necesidad y solicita a este tribunal que la designe a usted como la administradora del patrimonio hereditario de su esposo.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And are you qualified to serve as administrator over his estate?
Si usted cree que sí está calificada para poder cumplir con todas las obligaciones requeridas al ser asignada como administradora única del patrimonio de su esposo.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And just to clarify, you are asking the court to appoint you independent administrator over your husband's estate to serve without bond. Is that correct?
Y nada más para que conste en actas, quiero confirmar, usted está solicitando a este tribunal que la designe como administradora independiente del patrimonio de su esposo, sin que le imponga a este tribunal ninguna clase de garantía testamentaria.
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for my client. I would have the witness.
Muy bien, esas son todas las preguntas que tengo de mi clienta. Cedo al testigo.
Thank you, Ms. Freeland.
Just a couple, Your Honor.
Abogada
Okay.
Breland, su señoría, tengo nada más un par de preguntas.
Yes, this is Fatima Breland. I am the attorney at Lightam. And so your husband did agree to raise then Miriam and Ricardo as his own since the children were 6 and 7.
Yo soy la abogada Fatima Breland y yo soy la abogada judicial que representa a los menores de edad en esta causa. Le pregunto, el señor finado, el señor Escatel, ¿él estuvo de acuerdo en criar a Miriam y a Ricardo como si fuesen hijos propios de él? Y ellos tenían entonces, desde la edad que ellos tenían de 6 y 7 años?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
Well, I am the attorney at Lightam appointed by the court, and I represent unknown heirs. But the point that I just would like to clarify, your husband did agree to raise them as his own.
Yo soy la abogada judicial asignada a estos 2 hijos de él. Nada más quiero yo confirmar con usted, señora. Su esposo sí estuvo de acuerdo a criar a estos dos hijos que no eran biológicos, como si fuesen hijos propios de él, ¿correcto?
Sí, correcto.
Yes, it's correct.
And Your Honor, this is just for the interpreter. I am not only appointed to represent the two children, that non-biological children. My appointment is to look for the unknown heirs, and I just want that to be clear on the record.
Aparentemente el intérprete no hizo la traducción correcta de lo que yo pregunté anteriormente. Quiero que conste en acta, señora juez, que la intérprete interpretó que yo soy la abogada judicial que representa a los 4 hijos. Sin embargo, no lo soy. Yo soy la abogada que fue asignada judicialmente por el tribunal para la búsqueda de hijos o posibles herederos desconocidos de este finado. The interpreter apologizes and she stands corrected.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other questions.
Ya
Thank
no
you.
tengo más preguntas.
Okay.
Thank you. We rest
Thank
it.
you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Washington. After hearing testimony, the court finds the decedent Ezequiel Escatel died intestate, and the court finds by clearing convincing evidence that the decedent's heirs are Juana Garcia Alba, Flor Yasmin Escatel, Yesenia Escatel, Miriam San Juana Pérez García, and Ricardo Pérez García.
Yo, la juez, determino. Después de escuchar los testimonios anteriormente citados, que el señor finado Ezequiel Escatel murió intestado, en otras palabras, murió sin elaborar ninguna clase de testamento.
Thank you.
También determino que a la misa coñona.
Were the ad litem fees agreed to by both parties?
Yes, we agree, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
Okay.
the interpreter has not finished translating what the prior
Oh, I'm so
audience from-
sorry. I'm
It's all right,
sorry.
Your Honor.
Go ahead.
It's all right, Your Honor. También yo determino en este momento, después de pruebas claras y convincentes, que los herederos legítimos de el patrimonio del intestado y finado Ezequiel Escatel son Juana García Alba, así como también Flor Jasmine Escatel, Yesenia Escatel, Miriam San Juana Pérez y Ricardo Pérez.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Breland, did you file your order?
Yes, Your Honor, I filed my order for $600, Your Honor.
600. Thank you.
Abogada Breland, usted ya presentó la orden judicial en relación a el pago de sus honorarios. Sí, señoría, ya lo hice por la cantidad total de $600.
Thank you. Further, on the independent administration, the court finds there is a necessity for the administration of the estate of Ezequiel Escatel.
Ahora bien, en relación a la designación de una administración independiente, yo determino que si hay necesidad de que se establezca, que se designe a un administrador independiente en el patrimonio sucesorio de el finado Ezequiel Escatel.
All legislative deputies agreed to the independent administration and appointment of Juana Garcia Alba as independent administrator.
Y por ello, después de determinar que todos están de acuerdo en que se designe como administradora independiente a la señora Juana García Alba, procederé a hacerlo.
The court grants the request for independent administration and admits the estate of Ezequiel Escatel to probate for letters of independent administration.
Yo entonces concedo en este momento, después de todo lo anterior, después de haber escuchado todo lo anterior, designo la solicitud de esta solicitante de ser designada como la administradora independiente del patrimonio.
Okay. The
como administradora independiente y ante la validación en actas de este testamento en este juzgado sucesorio.
The court appoints Juana Garza Alba and waives the appointment of appraisers, and she shall serve without bond, subject to filing the oath.
Bien, entonces yo designo en este momento como administradora independiente del patrimonio hereditario del finado Ezequiel Escatel a la señora Juana García Alba. La disculpo y no emito ninguna clase de orden para presentar avalúos, ni tampoco habré de designar ninguna clase de garantía testamentaria pagadera por ella.
Thank you. Ms. Alba, I'm so sorry for your loss and your family's loss.
Señora García,
Go ahead.
señora García Alba, lamento mucho su pérdida, así como también lamento la pérdida para toda su familia.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Por
And
nada.
Ms. Peña and Mr. Pacheco, sorry for your loss of your friend.
Y,
Sounds like you had a wonderful family relationship.
y señorita Peña y señor Pacheco, lamento mucho también la pérdida de su gran amigo. Parece ser que tuvieron ustedes una gran amistad con él y con su familia.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time today.
Gracias por su tiempo el día de hoy. Con esto se da por terminada esta audiencia.
Ms. Washington, I'm signing the orders, and Ms. Breland, I'll sign yours once it gets uploaded into the system. Thank you
Thank
both
you,
for your
Your Honor.
time today. You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, you are excused.
Thank
Your
you.
Honor, may you interpret be excused.
Yes, you are excused. Thank you so much, Ms. Villarreal.
Always a joy working with you, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, I call cause number 507622 on William Ernest Court White IV on determination of heirship and dependent administration. Ms. Munoz and Mr. Dawson, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Dick Dawson, ad litem. I'm ready, Judge.
Thank you. And are your witnesses ready to be sworn in?
They are, Your Honor. They're here.
Okay. And who are they?
So it's Justin Yasin, Stephen White, and then Teresa Wheat, the applicant, or sorry, Teresa White, the applicant.
Okay, I'll need Justin, Teresa, and Stephen to please unmute.
That's okay.
Raise your right hand and I'll swear you in. Mr. Stephen White.
I can't, I'm trying to find you. Can you hear me?
I see you. You're good. Just raise your right hand, please. Thank you. All right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. Ms. Moniz, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. White as my first witness. Mr. White, please state your full name for the record.
Stephen James White.
And how are you acquainted with the decedent William Ernest Court White IV?
Longtime friend.
And is it true that you have known the decedent for over 20 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And the decedent died on June 2nd, 2022 in Cypress, Harris County, Texas at the age of 28 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
And has it been less than 4 years since the decedent passed away?
Yes.
And was the decedent a resident of Harris County on the date of his death?
Yes.
And did the decedent ever mention in your presence that he had executed a will?
No.
And did you ever see an original will executed by the decedent?
No.
And did you ever see a copy of a will executed by the decedent?
No, ma'am.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent died without a will, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe that you knew him well enough to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Yes.
And was the decedent married at the time of his death?
No.
And was the decedent ever previously married?
No.
And the decedent had a relationship with Amy Catherine Sherrard, and one child was born from that relationship, namely Elena Margaret White. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent did not adopt or take any other children into the home and raise them as his own. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the decedent's only heir is his minor child, Elena Margaret White. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any interest in the decedent's estate?
No, ma'am.
And you are not related to the decedent under the laws of descent in the state of Texas, meaning that you will not inherit anything from this estate. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your testimony here today?
No.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you. Stephen White, my name is Dawson, Dick Dawson. I'm an attorney ad litem appointed by the court. And you and I have talked in the past. And the long and the short of them, you've known him since 2000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you go to school with him?
No, sir.
Okay, but do you know him well enough to be acquainted with his siblings?
Yes.
Okay, do you know his mom?
Very well.
What is her first name?
Teresa.
Did you ever live in the home?
No, not since they moved from here.
Yeah, but at one time, did you live in the home with them?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, and was he married at the time of his death in June 2022?
No, sir.
To your knowledge, prior to that time, was he ever married in this state or any other state?
No, sir.
Okay, did you speak with him while he was living, in which the subject of his children was brought up?
One more time.
How many kids did he have?
One baby girl.
Okay, did he ever speak of any other child, born or adopted?
No, sir.
And he acknowledged that he was the father of that child. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you don't have any financial gain? You've not been promised anything for your testimony. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. Sorry.
Yes. Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Yassin as my second witness. Mr. Yassin, please state your full name for the record.
My name is Justin Yassin.
And how were you acquainted with the decedent, William Ernest Court White IV?
Longtime childhood friend.
And is it true that you have known the decedent for over 20 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And the decedent died on June 2nd, 2022 in Cypress, Harris County, Texas at the age of 28 years. Is that correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
And has it been less than 4 years since the decedent passed away?
Yes, ma'am.
And was the decedent a resident of Harris County on the date of his death?
Yes, ma'am.
And did the decedent ever mention in your presence that he had executed a will?
No, ma'am.
And did you ever see an original will executed by the decedent?
No, ma'am.
And did you ever see a copy of a will executed by the decedent?
No, ma'am.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent died without a will. Is that correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
And based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe that you knew him well enough to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Yes, ma'am.
And was the decedent married at the time of his death?
No, ma'am.
And was the decedent ever previously married?
No, ma'am.
And the decedent had a previous relationship with Amy Catherine Sherrard, and one child was born from that relationship, namely Elena Margaret White. Is that correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent did not adopt or take any other children into the home and raise them as his own. Is that correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
And the decedent's only heir is his minor child, Elena Margaret White. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Do you have any interest in the decedent's estate?
No, ma'am.
And you are not related to the decedent under the laws of descent in the state of Texas, meaning that you will not inherit anything from this estate. Is that correct?
That is correct, ma'am.
And has anyone promised you anything in exchange for your testimony here today?
No, ma'am.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you. Justin Yassin, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And were you acquainted with the decedent's mother?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you ever live in the home?
No, sir.
Did he have any siblings?
Yes, sir.
And did you ever go to school with the decedent?
Yes, sir.
How many years?
From kindergarten through 12th grade.
Okay, so you know him very well, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You seem to be a fairly young man. Was the decedent a young fella?
One more time, sir.
You seem to be a fairly young man. Was William a young man?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I noticed the death certificate shows he was 28 when he passed. And did he speak of any other children?
No, sir.
Did he ever refer to any other person that might have been adopted by him?
No, sir.
Okay, to your knowledge, he had one child and only one child. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And did you attend any social or recreational activities with Mr. White, I should say?
One more time, sir.
Were you in any kind of social or recreational activities with him, such as scouting or something like that?
Oh, yes, sir. We were in track and field, Boy Scouts, and that was it.
Okay. And do you know if he had any significant other that may have been his wife at the time of his death?
He was not married to my knowledge, sir.
Okay. And did he declare to you that he was not married and had never been married?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And have you been promised anything for your testimony today?
No, sir.
Do you have any interest in the estate, financial or otherwise?
Absolutely not, sir.
Okay, thank you. Pass the witness.
Thank you. On the airship, is that your final witness, Ms. Munoz?
Yes, Your Honor.
After hearing testimony, the court finds that the decedent, William Ernst White, died intestate, and the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that the decedent's heir is Elena Margaret White. And the ad litem fees are agreed to by both parties. I have it at $653.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll
That's
sign
correct,
this.
Judge. Wow.
Okay, it's actually $650. Thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Munoz, you may proceed on the dependent administration.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, I'd like to question the applicant, Ms. White. Ms. White, please state your full name for the record.
Teresa Christine White.
And what was your relationship to the decedent, William Ernest White IV?
I'm his mom.
And the decedent died on June 2nd, 2022 in Cypress, Harris County, Texas, at the age of 28 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it true that the decedent was a resident of Harris County at the time of his death?
Yes, ma'am.
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent died without a will. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you undertook a thorough search for a will and could not locate one. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you please describe the efforts you took to locate the decedent's will?
We thoroughly searched his bedroom. We've searched his vehicles. We've searched the storage unit that he shared with me. We've searched, we've tried to contact the bank accounts and there was nothing listed there either.
Thank you. And have you ever destroyed or disposed of a copy or an original will executed by the decedent?
No.
And when you went through the decedent's possessions, did you ever find a copy or an original will executed by the decedent?
No.
And have you ever seen a will belonging to the decedent?
No.
And did you file an application to be appointed as the dependent administrator of this estate?
Yes.
And there is a need for a formal administration of this estate, is that correct?
Yes.
And you are asking the court to appoint you as a dependent administrator of this estate, is that correct?
Yes.
And you are qualified and not disqualified from serving as administrator of this estate, is that correct?
That's correct.
And have you ever been convicted of a felony?
No, ma'am.
And you are asking the court to be appointed as a dependent administrator of this estate, and you confirm that you are not disqualified by law from serving as administrator of this estate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, may we go over some testimony for the bond?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Munoz.
Okay. Ms. White, is it true that the estimated value of the decedent's personal property, i.e. household goods and personal effects and tools, is approximately $2,000?
Yes.
And to the best of your knowledge, the decedent had a shared bank account with Miss Amy Sherrard with an unknown amount of cash in that account. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the decedent owned a Suzuki Ninja motorcycle approximately worth $1,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are there any other assets that you know of?
No.
Okay. Your Honor, we ask for the minimum bond in this estate.
Okay. Okay. The 13,000 minimum. And I just wanted to clarify on one thing. When you stated that the bank account was shared, that means that the other party now is owner of that bank account. So we're not including.
Most likely, Your Honor, we're not sure if it was joint owners with the right of survivorship or if they just owned it jointly, but we don't believe there's much in the account, if there is anything anyway.
Okay, that's fine. We're doing the minimum. Thank you. And the court finds, the court finds there is a necessity for the administration of the estate of William Ernest Court White IV. The court grants the dependent administration and admits the estate of William Ernest Court White IV to probate for letters of dependent administration, and the court appoints Teresa Christine White as dependent administrator, and they're waiving appointments of appraisers, and the bond amount will be the minimum of 13,000. And that's not right. Right, thank you. Ms. White, I am truly sorry for your loss of your son.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As well, Mr. White and Mr. Yasin. Sorry for the loss of your dear friend. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, Ms. Munoz, and Mr. Dawson, you're both excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I call cause number 507486, dependent administration for Andrew Johnny Jameson.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Ms. Willie and Mr. Casavan. Are you both ready to proceed?
Judge, we're just doing the dependent administration this morning. So Mr. Casavan is the ad litem on the Heirship. I let him know that we were just doing that, so he bounced off.
Okay, that's okay. I will swear you in then. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
My client is Cheryl Jameson. She is one of the daughters of Andrew Johnny Jameson. Mr. Jameson passed away intestate on May 4th, 2022, here in Houston, Harris County, Texas, at the age of 82 years. He as I said, did not leave a will. The family has done a very diligent search for such a document, and based on his personality, they also shared that that is not something he would have done. So that is why they couldn't find a will, because he didn't do one. My client is qualified to serve as a dependent administratrix of her dad's estate for purposes of a bond judge. Mr. Jameson owned several pieces of Harris County real property. He owned a 2006 GMC Sierra vehicle. I did a Kelly Blue Book on that vehicle at 120,000 miles, and it's about a $7,000 asset for the estate. My client believes that there's about $85,000 in his bank account. there is about $10,000 worth of jewelry that she had appraised. And she believes that the other household furnishings and personal effects are about $6,000. She was not sure whether or not her father owned any investment securities. She had no information to support that. So for purposes of a bond, I'd ask the court to consider an amount of $108,000 or somewhere in that vicinity. She is qualified to serve, and she asks that the court appoint her as the dependent administrator of her dad's estate.
Thank you. The court finds that there is a necessity of the administration of the estate of Andrew Johnny Jameson. The court grants request for dependent administration and admits the estate of Andrew Johnny Jameson to probate for letters of dependent administration. Further, the court appoints Cheryl A. Jameson as dependent administration. And we're waiving the appointment appraisers.
Yes, please, Judge. It's not a taxable estate.
Okay, and the bond amount will be $108,000. And she will serve subject to filing her oath. And I'll sign the order. We do have the order, but it's physical. It's a physical copy.
Okay, thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for your time today. Your excuse, Miss Willie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. I call cause number 509993 in the estate of Connie Padam on application of dependent administration. Mr. Norris, are you ready to proceed?
I'm ready, Your Honor.
Okay, are you giving testimony or you have witness?
I have my client here. Mr. Padam is here on the Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Padam. Good morning. Do you mind raising your right hand so I can swear you in?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Norris, you may proceed.
All right, thank you. Mr. Padam, could you tell us your name, please?
Edwin Dwayne Padam.
And how are you related to the decedent, Connie Padam?
That was my mother.
All right, and she died on March 26th, 2022, is that correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
And it's been less than 4 years since she passed away?
That is correct.
And at the time of her death, she was a resident and maintained a domicile here in Harris County, is that right?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And as far as you know and believe, she did not leave a will, is that right?
No, sir, we checked everywhere. We didn't find anything.
Okay, and a necessity exists for this administration. There are some debts and some assets that need to be dealt with. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. The debts have been dealt with. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, but there's some more, and the house needs to be dealt with. And okay, thank you. And you are qualified and not qualified to be the administrator, and you've never been convicted of a felony. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
All right, and then just to tell the court, what are the available assets of the estate? Is it just the house?
Yes, sir, it's the house. It's the house. We gave the car to my little brother because he needed transportation back and forth to work. So we all agreed to give him that. So it's just the house.
And how much is the car worth? Less than $13,000? Probably
less than that.
Okay, all right. Is it much less than that or a lot less than that? Or is it like, what would you say the value of the car is?
Probably about 10, somewhere around that.
Around $10,000. All right. And there's no other property aside from your mother's personal belongings like clothes and contents of the house, really?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Your Honor, we ask that you grant the administration and appoint my client as the administrator And to waive appraisers, it's a non-taxable estate.
Okay, and then we're doing a minimum bond. This is dependent, correct?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. It's dependent, and the only asset outside of the house is that car, and it's under the minimum bond limit.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay, the court finds that there is a necessity of administration of the estate of Connie M. Patton. The court grants request for dependent administration, admits the estate of Connie M. Patton to probate for letters of dependent administration. The court further appoints Edwin Dwayne Patton as dependent administrator to serve with a minimum bond of $13,000. The court waives the appointment of appraisers. He will serve subject to filing the oath, and I'll sign the document, the order now. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patton, and I'm truly sorry for your loss of your mother.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Mr. Norris and Mr. Patton,
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank
Thank you, Your
you.
Honor. You have a good day.
You have a good day too, Mr. Pat. Bye. Okay, I call cause number 498-157 in the estate of Sheila Bettis on Heirship with independent administration. Mr. Norris, are you ready to proceed? And Ms. Pfeiffer?
It's Mr. Norton, Your Honor.
Norton, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Last lawyer was Norris. And your witnesses, we need to swear.
They should be here, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Perez and Mr. and Ms. Manning.
Miss Perez and Manning. I see Miss Manning and Mr.
Mr. Perez might be under Ashton. Yeah, he's under Ashton.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so what I'll need is Miss Manning and Mr. Perez, I'll need you to get in front of the camera and hold up your right hand so I can swear you in prior to giving testimony.
And is Joe Manning testifying also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Manning, Miss Manning, and Mr. Pettis. If you, all right, put up your right hand. Mr. Pettis, you'll have to put the camera on you, facing you.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Can you see me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Norton, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Mr. Joe Manning. Mr. Manning, can you please state your name for the court?
Joe Manning.
And how long did you know the decedent, Sheila Perez?
Over 40 years, all my life is my heart. So.
Okay. And you're aware that she passed away at the age of 58 years on March 20th of 2021 in Harris County, Texas, correct?
Yes, sir, correct.
And did you know the decedent well enough to identify the number of marriages she had and her children, if she had any, and whether or not she was married when she passed away?
Yes, sir, correct.
Okay. To best of your knowledge, she was only married one time, and that was to Mr. Roy Perez, and they got married sometime in 1984, and then their marriage lasted until she passed away, correct?
Correct, yes.
And then from that marriage, she had two children named Ashton Lee Montgomery Perez and Angelito Perez, correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
And did she have, prior to her marriage to Roy, did she have any other marriages that you're aware of?
No, sir.
And did she have any other children born to her that we did not mention here today?
No, sir.
Did she adopt any children that we did not mention today?
No, sir.
And did she take any children into her home and raise them as their own children that we did not mention here today?
No, sir.
And did you ever speak to Miss Perez about, or did she ever talk to you about having a will or needing to make one, wanting to make one, or being in the process of making a will? She ever talked to you about
No.
any of that?
No, sir.
And to the best of your knowledge, was a search made for the existence of a will?
Yes.
Did they find one?
No, sir.
Okay. And last question, were you compensated for your testimony today?
No, sir.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Manning. I pass the witness to Ms. Pfeiffer.
Thank you. Ms. Pfeiffer?
Mr. Manning, my name's Carolina Pfeiffer. I'm the attorney ad litem appointed by the court. Can you please tell the court how close you were with your aunt? Is it Sheila or Shelia?
It's Sheila. Aunt Sheila.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell the court how close you were with her?
I was very close, almost like a son. She's my aunt. Her and my mother was very close. My mother passed away at a very young age. And she always raised me and helped me out through school from elementary on up. That's why I spent summers sometimes in their home with my uncle, Roy Perez. So I'm like almost like a brother to my cousins, if you will.
And even in your adult life, did you see her regularly?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Okay, and you're confident that if there were any other children of hers out there, you would have known about it?
Correct, yes, I would definitely know.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions for him.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Manning. Mr. Norton?
I'd like to call Miss Natalie Manning. Ma'am, can you please state your name for the court?
Natalie Manning.
And how long did you know Miss Perez before she passed away?
About right at 20 years.
And how'd you know her?
She was my husband's aunt.
Okay.
Which is Joe Manning. Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you knew her pretty well?
I did.
And did you spend quite a bit of time with her during your during her lifetime and your marriage to your husband, Mr. Joe Manning?
Yes, we did. We spent a lot of time with her.
Okay. And did you were you present when I asked Mr. Manning all the questions about Ms. Perez's marriages, the number of children she had, and who her heirs were?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And were you present when I asked him questions about whether or not she had a will?
Yes.
And did you hear and understand all those questions and his answers?
I did.
Is there any sort of answer that you give that's different from Mr. Manning's testimony? Essentially, do you agree with this?
Okay. Yes, I do. I wouldn't say anything different.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mrs. Manning, and I pass the witness to that line.
Thank you. Ms. Pfeiffer?
Yes, Ms. Manning. So Sheila was your husband's aunt, and I guess you got to know her when you married your husband, Joe. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And how often did you get to visit with her?
Often, birthdays, holidays for not only herself, for the kids, her sons, the family, his grandmother, all the time.
So you feel confident that if there were any other children born to or adopted by her, you would know of those children? Okay, I have no further questions for her.
Thank you. Okay. After hearing testimony, the court finds that the decedent Sheila Bettis died intestate, and the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that the decedent's heirs are Roy O. Bettis, Ashton Bettis, and Angelito Bettis. And I'll sign this. order. And the items fees were agreed to by both parties, 600.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
We really appreciate her assistance on this case.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and we'll move forward into the independent administrator.
Excuse, Judge.
Oh, absolutely, Ms. Pfeiffer. Thank you for your time today. You are excused.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, may the Manning witnesses be excused if they like.
Absolutely, Mr. and Mrs. Manning. Thank you. And I'm so sorry for your loss of your aunt. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
Thank you for your time today. Okay, Mr. Norton, you may proceed.
Okay. Mr. Perez, can you state your name for the court?
Yes, Ashton Perez.
And how long did you know the decedent, Sheila Perez?
I mean, all my life, she's my mother.
Okay. And you're aware that she passed away at the age of 58 years in Harris County, Texas on March 20th of 2021, correct?
Yes, sir.
And has it been 4 years since her date of death and the date that we sought to avail ourselves of the probate court system?
No, it hasn't been 4 years.
Okay. And this court has jurisdiction and venue because your mother was a permanent resident of Harris County, Texas, correct?
Correct.
And to the best of your knowledge, she passed away without a will. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And there is a need to administer her estate so that you can collect a property that's owed to the estate, correct?
Correct.
And all the heirs, you, your brother, and your father have all agreed that you should serve as the independent administrator without bond, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And is this a non-taxable estate?
Not.
This estate's
Can you
worth
explain?
under, yeah, this estate's worth under $11 million, correct?
Oh, yes, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it'd be non-taxable to the best of your knowledge?
Right. No, it's not taxable.
Okay. And are you qualified and not disqualified from serving as the independent administrator of this estate?
Correct.
Okay. And do you request that appraisals be waived?
Yes. Yes, correct.
Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Perez, and we respectfully request that he be appointed as the independent administrator to serve without bond.
Oh God, I'm on mute. All right, the court finds the necessity of administration of the estate of Sheila Bettis. All distributees agreed to the independent administration and appointment of Ashton Lee Montgomery Bettis as independent administrator. The court grants requests for independent administration and admits the estate of Sheila Bettis to probate for letters of independent administration. The court appoints Ashton Lee Montgomery Bettis to serve as independent administrator without bond, and the court waives the appointment of appraisers. He shall serve subject to the filing of the oath. Okay, and I signed that order. Thank you so much. And Mr. Pettis, I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your time here today.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Mr.
Judge.
Norton. Thank you. You may be excused.
take care.
Mr. Bettis, you may be excused. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I call cause number 510676 in the state of James Thornton on determination of heirship and independent administration. Ms. Ravana and Ms. Dennison, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe I have both of our witnesses here as well as the applicant. Charles, Paul, Travian, can you all unmute and turn on your videos, please? There we go.
Yes. It's not.
And Charles, can you hit the little microphone to unmute yourself? It should be the bottom left-hand corner. We can't hear you.
Tap the phone screen and there come up, Charles.
Yeah, give your phone screen a tap, and in the bottom left corner will be a little microphone icon. Dane Dennison as the ad litem for the unknown heirs, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right.
Your Honor, I'm not sure, is there a way that you might be able to prompt?
I do. I've been doing it the whole time. It's not working. I've been pressing ask to mute, but it's just, I don't know.
Charles, can you hear us? Okay. Are you getting any kind of notification on your screen to unmute? Yeah, we can't hear you at all.
Asking is volume up.
Yeah. See, is his volume up on it?
Yeah, he's on a.
Yeah, he can hear us. We just can't hear him. His screen is still showing as muted.
Yeah, I'll need to hear him say I do.
Let's see. Oh. Can I call him on another phone? They can hear. Hurry up, get my phone. Tell him
If I call him on another phone, can that?
Yes. Just as long as I hear him hand up, and if I can just hear him say I do, that'll be fine.
Okay.
See his mouth say it and hear it. That'll be fine.
What?
I lost the screen. I could see everything, but when you dialed in, I lost my screen. I lost the screen.
Ask him, can he hear?
Can you hear him?
Can you hear us?
I can, but I need to see him. We lost the screen now. I have to see his hand up and I have to hear him say I do. So I don't know what happened to the video.
When you go back to the screen or hit the screen, it should have like a little microphone and hit it, and so it can unmute you. So okay.
Is there another phone that you could call him at?
Okay. When you get back to the screen, it should be like when you hit the screen, like a little microphone in your left corner. Just tap the little microphone. Say that one more time. when you get back in the courtroom, it should be like a little microphone in the left corner. Just tap the microphone so it should take you off and unmute.
Just tell me if you don't see it, just tap on it. Just tap the
Yeah.
left corner. Just tap on.
When you call me on the other phone, my screen left.
Okay, yeah, when we get off the phone. Yeah.
Just tell them, just tap anything to
Okay.
the left.
All right.
Okay. Just tap anything to the left. Yeah, just tap anything to the left. Okay.
If you want, can you put him on FaceTime? Because I could also just see him through your screen on your phone through FaceTime. Yeah, if you can FaceTime him.
I think he don't have an iPhone.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Okay.
Did you ask him to do your iPhone or you don't?
Oh, yeah. I didn't realize. Okay, there he is. Okay, call him on the phone and ask him to raise his right hand. Please, I'm sorry to sound bossy.
Your Honor, I think because he's on Zoom on his phone, if he calls it, it takes the camera off.
I'll send him a text message instead. I'll send him a text.
Yeah.
You could just talk to him.
Raise your right hand.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony, everybody needs to raise your right hand, not just Mr. White. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
I do. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt. Is there another witness that needs to be sworn in?
He just dropped off of the call.
Okay. What about
there he is?
Paul?
There he is. He is back. I apologize for all the tech issues, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
We've got
I
it.
have you. We're good. Trayvon, would you raise your hand? And then Paul. I need video on Paul. I have you, Mr. White, but thank you. You already did. I was trying to do you really fast just in case we lost your video again. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Paul Fontenot, I need the video. Trayvon, I'll go ahead and swear you in. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give in this case to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, Paul, can you unmute yourself?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ms. Ravana, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to call Charles Wyatt. Mr. Wyatt, can you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Charles Dean Wyatt.
How were you acquainted with the decedent James Thornton?
I met him early on as a child, as a friend, through other guys that worked at the shop.
Okay. And did he pass away on September 19th, 2022 in Harris County, Texas at the age of 62?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, did he pass away without a will?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe that you knew him sufficiently well to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The decedent was not married at the time of his death and was never married. Is that correct?
That's correct.
To the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent only had one child born to him, namely Travion Devon Pregene. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Did the decedent ever adopt any children or bring any children into his home to raise them as his child?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any interest in the decedent's estate?
No, ma'am.
And you're not related to the decedent under the laws of descent in the state of Texas. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Has anyone offered you anything in exchange for your testimony here today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, I will pass the witness.
Thank you. Mr. Dennison.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Charles. I just have a few quick questions for you. Do you believe that James might have had relations with another woman that would have produced another child?
That I couldn't answer. I'm quite sure that he have had other relationship, but I can't say that he had a relationship with someone that he had a child with.
Okay, fair enough. To the best of your knowledge, did James adopt any children?
No,
Did he assist anyone else in adopting a child?
no, sir.
Did he take any other children into his home and treat them as his own child?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Ravana.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to
Thank you.
call Paul Fontenot.
Yes,
Mr. Fontenot, can you please state your full name for the record?
Paul Fontenot,
How are you acquainted with the decedent James Thornton?
a friend.
And did he pass away on September 19th, 2022 in Harris County, Texas at the age of 62?
Yes,
To the best of your knowledge and belief, did the decedent die without a will?
yes,
Based on your acquaintance with the decedent, do you believe that you knew him sufficiently well to testify here today about his family and marital history?
Mr. Fontenot, you froze. Did you answer yes to that question?
yes,
Thank you. Okay.
The decedent was not married at the time of his death and was never married. Is that correct?
yes,
And to the best of your knowledge and belief, the decedent only had one child born to him, namely Travion Devin Pregene. Is that correct?
yes,
Did the decedent ever adopt any children or bring any children into his home to raise them as his child?
no,
Do you have any interest in the decedent's estate?
no,
And you're not related to the decedent under the laws of descent in the state of Texas. Is that correct?
no,
No, you're not related?
no,
Has anyone offered you anything in exchange for your testimony here today?
no.
Okay, I will pass the witness.
Mr. Dennison?
Good morning, Paul. Do you believe that any relations James might have had with other women produced a child born of him?
No,
To the best of your knowledge, did James adopt any children?
no,
To the best of your knowledge, did James assist anybody else in adopting a child?
no.
No further questions, Your Honor. Pass the witness.
Thank you.
Okay, apologize.
That's okay. Those are your two witnesses for the determination of heirship, Ms. Ravana?
That is correct.
Okay. After hearing testimony, the court finds that the decedent, James Thornton, died intestate, and the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that the decedent's heir is Trayvon Devon Pregene. I'll sign this document. And were the ad litem fees agreed to by both parties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Dennison. Okay.
Let the record reflect that payment has been satisfied on my ad litem fees.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt and Mr. Fontenot. Thank you for your time today. And sorry for your loss of your friend. Mr. Dennison.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Mr. Dennison, you may be excused, as well as Mr. Fontenot and Mr. Wyatt.
Thank you,
Thank you
Your
for your time again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Ravana, you may proceed with the independent administration.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like to call Travion Devin Pregene.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pregene, can you please state your name for the record?
Travion Devon Prejean.
And how are you related to the decedent James Thornton?
That's my father.
And did your father pass away on September 19th, 2022 in Harris County, Texas at the age of 62 years?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you undertake a thorough search for a will?
What is? I'm not sure. What is
Well,
that?
to your knowledge, did your father have a will?
Oh no, no ma'am.
Did you attempt to find a will? Did you take any efforts to try to search for one when you found out he passed?
Yes ma'am. Yes ma'am. I made some phone calls and he didn't.
Okay. So based on your efforts to try to find a will, is it your belief that your father did pass away without a will?
Yes ma'am.
And was your father a resident of Harris County at the time of his death?
Yes ma'am.
And to your knowledge, you are the only child of the decedent and are the sole heir to his estate?
Yes ma'am.
And his estate consists of real and personal property with a value in excess of $75,000. Is that correct?
Yes ma'am.
And is there a need for a formal administration of this estate?
By can you explain?
Yeah, is there a need to gather up assets? Are there that you need to, does he have like a business or financial accounts you need to access?
Yes. Yes ma'am. He has a shop and vehicles.
Okay.
And a bank account.
Okay.
And he have a home with his brother. Like
Okay, and so there's a need for you to get all those assets gathered up, distributed, properties transferred.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you're asking the court to appoint you as the independent administrator of this estate, and you confirm that you're qualified and not disqualified by law from serving as the administrator. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not a convicted felon?
No, ma'am.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge and belief, all potential heirs have entered an appearance in this case and consent to you being appointed as independent administrator. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if appointed, you are asking the court to waive the requirement of a bond and the appointment of any appraisers. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, I have nothing further from this witness, and we would ask that the court appoint Travion Devon Prejean as independent administrator of the estate of James Thornton to serve without bond. And as this is a non-taxable estate, we would also ask that appraisers be waived.
Thank you. The court finds there is a necessity of administration of the estate of James Thornton, and the court grants the request for independent administration and admits the estate of James Thornton to probate for letters of independent administration. Further, the court appoints Travion Devon Prejean as independent administrator and waives appointment of appraisers. He shall serve without bond, subject to filing his oath. Thank you, Mr. Prejean, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor. May we be excused?
Yes, you may be excused. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'll sign that order.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank
thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You as
right,
well.
you too.
All right, I gave you the right view.